Jamie, welcome back to WealthChat for your annual review.
All right. Thanks, Lubna. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here because it's been a whirlwind of a year. It's flown by. A lot has happened, and I look forward to discussing it with you. But before we get into that, please introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for those who don't know me, my name is Jamie Holland. I'm the Senior Vice President and Business Unit Leader for our Industry Solutions business in Canada. That group includes wealth management organization, insurance organization, and a capital markets organization.
Sounds great. Well, you mentioned wealth, and wealth had a tremendous year. There were a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different things that were going on. The journey for digital transformation continued. And we were discussing some of the trends that occurred in wealth, and there were several. We can sort of start with sustainability, if you like, because that's been on the forefront of many people's minds, especially because of some of these announcements are coming out.
And one of the things we saw, and we did our Voice of the Advisor survey again this year, coming out of that was it was a top theme, top 6 kind of item. But there was a sense that people were chasing alpha as opposed to sustainability, right? So there was a real interest in returns as opposed to sustainability from portfolios. I think that might be true in the short term, but I think in the long term, sustainability is something that each advisor has to embrace. Great example. I've been watching this show on HBO, which is done by Robert Downey Jr. about his dream cars. So it's kind of a gearhead show, and the focus of that show has been on how to convert some of these classic cars to EVs to protect the environment, and so really sustainability has been about 50% of the topic. And it's kind of a theme throughout. And I think that's going to resonate with the younger generation, and the younger generation is going to end up inheriting the wealth and that wealth transfer is starting to happen. And so I think, it's important that advisors start thinking about sustainability as part of their offering to their clients. And, of course, all the firms are focused on ESG as a big part of their so every corporate is got a big focus on ESG because they know that sustainability is an important part of their ability to operate in the long term as well. So I think it's not quite as hot a topic as I would have thought it would be, but I think it's pretty important for advisors to embrace. So
definitely, and I feel within that topic, as you mentioned, example with Robert Downey Jr. transferring his cars, there's a transformation that's occurring where it's sort of you have to have some conversion into what the future is going to become. It can't always stay as it was in the past. And I feel that's a big part of it. And also, we have to move forward. And sustainability is a big part of how we plan to do that by ensuring that things are viable and that there is a future that's, not completely destroyed because, of course, there are a lot of environmental concerns and sustainability can definitely help with those. Yeah.
And people want to make sure that where they're investing their money is in places that they feel align with their principles and their values, right? So that's an important part of how an advisor delivers value to their clients.
So. Definitely. And there's been numerous stats that have come out about particularly the younger generation valuing sustainability, but also they want to invest with their values. So yes, they do still want a good return, but it's not purely return driven anymore. And we can sort of get a bit more into that when we speak about financial wellness.
Sure.
I did want to dive into VOA because you mentioned it.
Sure. Yes.
So Voice of the Advisor, this was our 3rd year conducting the survey. And we started conducting the survey because we wanted to hear from the front lines. At CGI, we provide technology to advisors, and we wanted to hear their thoughts on how they're feeling, where they expect their business to grow. And just some of the challenges that they're facing and really get an idea of their daily lives and how we can potentially help, or how we can help the firms make good decisions for their advisors. So what were your thoughts on the survey? And
yeah, no, again, I think it's an excellent piece of work that the team does. And I think for our clients, it delivers a lot of value because it's something that we share, and spend a lot of time going through the detail of it with each of our clients. So super valuable from that perspective. And I think it's always important to do some first party research as well, right? So that research, I think, has been really valuable input into the way in which we think about how our business is going to grow and where we need to invest our dollars as well. So I'm really pleased with the survey. And this year, I think we had 60% U.S. And 40% Canadian advisors input, which I think is a nice shift for us, because I think in the past years it's been more Canadian focused. So we're getting a much broader view of what advisors are seeing as the important things in their future and what they need to focus their energies on. I think the themes were kind of aligned with what I would have expected to see as well. So not a shocker. It's customer experience. There was a focus on differentiation, especially through financial wellness. Focus on data. And I think that's a big one with AI, with what we see happening in the market. And so, data is going to become a really important aspect of how advisors operate their business. With the concerns in the market around recession and the sort of you see it with all of the financial services firms, or headcount reductions and cost containment. A focus on smart operations was another big theme that came out of that. So. That was a really important one. So I mean, those were four of the key themes. There was a few other areas there, sustainability being one of them, that were top of mind for the advisors. So a really valuable piece of work, I think, and certainly I encourage everyone to get their hands on the research which we provide out to our clients.
Definitely. And so a bit more about VOA. This year, we did partner up with IWI, the Institute for Wealth. And so it was great because we got to go down to their conference in San Diego and interact with advisors in the U.S. The popular belief in Canada, of course, is that we usually follow the U.S. We're always a couple of years behind. So it was great to get their insights and see what their expectations are, and the fact that they were aligned with ours was good confirmation that we are thinking in the right trajectory. But, you spoke about customer experience, and that was definitely something that was very big, and it's something that was very prominent because the way the businesses in the U.S. are set up, there's large RIAs, and so there's more independent networks, and customer service seems to be sort of at the pinnacle for how they differentiate themselves. And after the results were in, we also did a webinar with IWI in order to speak about some of these results. And we had some advisors on, as well as research professionals on a panel to discuss this. And for those that are interested, we'll drop a link within the description. But it was a very eye-opening conversation for those that were in attendance, because they got to see sort of what their counterparts in the U.S. were thinking and how well they're aligned to each other's business models. But again, customer experience was the big one. So when you hear that customer experience is how they want to differentiate themselves, like, it seems like for a while it was all about being very quick, being very fast, and just getting funds invested and streamlining. But there seems to be a craving for this human element of actually taking a bit more time to getting to know the client.
Yeah, and that was, in the themes that sort of came across as a sort of this idea of hyper-personalization or hyper KYC, if you will, really understanding your client's needs and applying those needs in an appropriate way, which feeds back into financial wellness. It feeds into, as you say, having the right, the right decisioning process around how you invest the assets. And the big sort of thing, the big takeaway for us, and probably the number one aspect of the customer experience issue for the advisors was really around technology. Do I have the right technology in order to support the client? And that included things like portals and marketing tools, but as well, the CRM and the ability to invest in a way that's appropriate and manage the assets in a way that aligns with the client's goals. So, yeah, it was a really, it's an important piece of information for us as we're thinking about where do we invest our dollars, in that advisor experience, in the tools that allow the advisor to connect directly to the client. Pretty interesting stuff. And for sure, I think that is the big sort of shocker for us as well, is that, traditionally advisors have been less focused on technology as the number one driver. And this year it was really the number one driver for them is improving the technology they have. So a big change.
Yeah, it was interesting because a lot of them felt that, some of them felt that there was too much technology because during the pandemic, there was an acceleration towards technology. And so it almost felt like they were just constantly being bombarded by new technologies. And the issue there became change management and actually implementing best practices to ensure that the message was conveyed correctly, one, and two, that the benefit to the end advisor was conveyed and that they understood why they were getting this technology and how it would help their business.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a tough one, right? I mean, each advisor runs their practice differently, and there's no one size fits all. And I think this is an important part of our learnings from the voice of the advisor, and and what we've done as well in terms of our strategy for platforms. We think about this concept of unified advisory. And unified advisory doesn't mean one way of doing it. In fact, quite the opposite. It means giving the tool set to the advisor so they can run their business their way. And whether they view themselves as an investment manager or a relationship manager or a coach or something else, providing the right tool set so they can operate their business effectively and efficiently and make money. While supporting their clients in the way that they think is the best. So,
definitely. Well, since you've brought up a unified managed accounts, UMA,
unified advisory, but sure. But unified managed accounts are definitely part of that.
Yes,
for sure. And there's a focus on this idea of a unified managed household, a unified managed advisory. To me, I think it was just as a unified account platform. Mm-hmm. And what that means to me is that our clients can take advantage of tools to provide capabilities that allow them to run their businesses more efficiently and their way. So, the value of a unified managed account is really an efficiency play. It's the platform does the heavy lifting of rebalancing and managing the trading activities that are needed for raising cash and so on and so forth. And leaves the advisor to spend time going and trying gathering assets or meeting your clients or spending time with their clients, right? So that's a very valuable tool set. The unified managed household takes that up a level and essentially says, at the household, generally speaking, we have a single IPS. In that case, why can't we implement that across a number of unified managed accounts, whether they be registered or non-registered, whether it be myself or my spouse, and put the assets in the most tax advantaged way into that platform so that they can provide the best service in a way that's super efficient. So that's something that we spend a lot of time building, and certainly it's available. How clients use it though is different, and each advisory practice uses it differently as well, which is okay. I mean, it's really about providing them flexibility and the ability to do things. I think that's what we heard from the Voice of the Advisor as well, which is we want flexibility. We want to be able to support our clients. We know the world is changing, and we're going to need the technology to support our businesses as the world adjusts.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, unified managed householding has been sort of the pinnacle for certain advisory teams. It's something that they've been trying to achieve for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And based on your answer, it seems like unified managed accounts is the way to get there.
Well, it's the only way to get there. I mean, otherwise you're doing it as a reporting function, and you're having to cobble together some spreadsheets and try and figure out how to provide that capability. And it's labor intensive. So it can only be available for the most high net worth clients, because you really can't afford to do it for your average client. And that's the value of a unified managed household platform. It allows you to do that in an efficient way. And in order to do that, you need to have UMAs. You need to have a unified managed account underpinning to do it. So,
yeah, that sounds rational. I would say, but of course, everyone has their own opinions and prefers to do things in a certain manner. Now, as we were speaking, and another area that's important to advisors, but also I would say clients on the institutional sides, is smart operations. And so how do I do things efficiently? And more importantly, given the volatile times that we're in, how do we do it cost effectively?
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is, and it came out in the Voice of the Advisor survey as well, but it comes out in all of our conversations with all of our clients, which is, hey, we need to reduce our operating cost. And it's especially true for asset managers. Asset managers today are being squeezed on their fees. And so they need to find a way to reduce the operating cost of their business, and so we've responded to that and launched a business process outsourcing business to support our clients, and that's been we've had a big year for that, and it's grown dramatically over the last 12 months. And so we've had great success, and that great success is a indication of what the market sees, which is, hey, we need to find a way to operate more efficiently and more effectively and reduce costs. So smart operations, that's part of what we've done. I would say the other big aspect, and what I think everyone's investigating and most are starting to think about how to implement, is AI. So how do we use a generative AI model to improve the inflow of documentation into the operations center? How do we use it as a way to manage straight-through processing, so take it out of people's hands and make it more straight through, and reduce the number of people that are involved in operating the back office. So that is that's something I think all of our clients are investigating. We're certainly implementing for several clients and for ourselves as well, of course. And that ties in with, long focus and experience in data science, and then, of course, in workflow as well. So having the ability to deliver on those things is important. So, yeah, I think smart operations is it's a big part of how we're helping our clients succeed in this market. This is expanding, of course, into other areas for us now, fund accounting being one of them, where we're helping our clients really operate their middle office activities in a more efficient way using AI and data. So, yeah, a really exciting area for us, and big growth area for us from the last 12 months, and I expect it'll be even more so in the next 12 months. So.
Definitely. I mean, AI has I would say, been the winner of 2023. It felt like it came out of nowhere. It was with the launch of ChatGPT in 2022, December of 2022. And then it just hit the ground running. And now everywhere you go, all anyone wants to speak about is AI, which goes to show that I feel part of it is, for the first time, it was very democratized and anyone can go on and use it and see how easy and simple it was. And it created a lot of excitement where it's like, oh, like anything's possible. Like I just have to type things in and it'll give me whatever I want.
Yeah, sure.
So it's been a really interesting thing to see rise. Obviously, we do need to proceed with caution with that as well, as with everything.
The responsible use of AI is the important thing here. And yes, you can go on and use a publicly available, ChatGPT or other large language model. But the risk you have there, of course, is if you release your data into that model, then that data is available to everyone around the world. Same thing with your best business practices. So doing it in a way that's secure, that's ring fenced, is an important part of how to implement AI effectively, and it's certainly something that we're spending a lot of time on, which is how do we deliver that responsible use of AI. CGI is investing over $1 billion in this area over the next 3 years, and that was announced publicly, I think, about a month ago. So, big time investment, and of course, we have our own AI platforms, but we also are partners with all the major players in this space. And it's as I said, it's a huge growth area. I think it's going to be a big win for our clients as they look at ways to reduce their operating costs so that they can deliver more value to their clients.
Definitely. And you mentioned data earlier, but that is vital for AI to work properly. So you have to make sure you're feeding it the correct information. And what's been really interesting is that we've seen this shift towards what's called active data, where data is not just sitting there anymore and going stale. It's actively being used and updated to ensure that the most accurate and correct results are being presented. And so that would be true with anything. And of course, at CGI, we have a lot of data. And last year when you were here, we spoke about insurance and about our function in the Canadian auto industry when it comes to insurance. And just a few weeks ago, I saw a very interesting demo for an app called myAutoPlus.
Sure, yeah.
It looked like it was full of possibilities, so please tell us about it.
Sure, yeah. And we've been providing insurance information services to the industry for almost 40 years. So it's not new. It's not a new capability. And the big part of that is providing data for the purposes of underwriting and claims management, typically, and that's data on individuals, data on vehicles, and so that's an important. Those are important pieces of information, allowing an insurer to provide the right insurance policy, pricing, so on and so forth to their clients, and do it in a way that manages the risk appropriately. So it's been an important business for us. Part of our mandate in providing that data has always been to provide the same data to consumers. So if consumers want to know, what information is publicly available about them, they should have access to that information. It's certainly an important part of what we do. And so it's been in the past it's been a sort of call center and mail-based access point. So it takes days for someone to get access to their information. So what we've done recently is we've launched a product called myAutoPlus. It's an app that's available in the App Store and the Android or Google Store as well. And you download that app on your phone, and it gives you access to your insurance data in real time. So you always have the most up-to-date information. I think that's going to be a fantastic win for consumers. a fantastic win for insurers as well, as we can use that tool to update information and make sure the information is correct about the insured all the time. So, and part of what we're trying to do there is provide the insured with a score that gives them a sense of what things could they do or should they do to change the pricing for them that they pay for insurance. So it's a great tool for consumers to become become the master of their pricing and their relationship with their insurer as well. So we think it's a great win for the market, and of course we have all kinds of opportunity to add on additional services using that app, and we're certainly investigating, looking at all of those different options now. So awesome new tool, and as you say, it's pretty slick how it works. So very proud of what the team has done to launch that and get that into the public domain.
Yeah, it's very simple to use, to navigate. Everything's right there, and the fact that consumers now will have readily available access to their data and sort of, as you mentioned, have information on how they can potentially change their rate. So what can they do to get a lower rate? I feel that transparency is fantastic and much needed, because so often with insurance, it feels like it just goes to this black box and then you don't see it. And this definitely changes that. So
yeah, it's fantastic. We're very excited about it, and as you say, I think it'll be an important step forward in how people manage their insurance. So
yeah,
and
definitely.
we're expecting a pretty big uptake on it as well. So very exciting for us, and I think for the industry as a whole.
I completely agree. And, we were speaking about wealth trends, but this sort of lends to the hyper-personalization piece, because now insurers can, because they'll have more data on their consumer, and the consumer will, of course, consent to sharing it, they can actually get better service. They can get service that they need and provide it to them sort of on a just-in-time basis.
Absolutely.
Without having to run through all the usual hoops.
Yeah, and they can add more services to the way in which they operate. One example is we're partnering with a security organization that has a specialized tool to secure your cars from sort of the fob attack, where they scan for your fob and then take your car, and that's a major issue in the industry. This tool will prevent that from happening, which is great. But you have to be able to prove that to an insurer to make it valuable. And so that's, how do you do that? And the app is a great way of us connecting the dots between that provider of the security device and the insurer. So
yeah, that sounds great. And I mean, those fob attacks are scary, because I heard that they can even penetrate through walls. So even if you have your keys in your house,
exactly,
they can still scan for it.
That's right. Yeah. And so what this device does is it essentially deactivates your key fob while it's not in use.
Oh.
So that it can't be scanned. And so that's a fantastic device, a fantastic innovation for the industry as a whole. And CGI has partnered with this firm to deliver that to the market.
Yeah, that's amazing news. Now, as we continue on speaking about client experience and hyper-personalization, another big part of this, and you've sort of alluded to it with how information used to be delivered versus how it's delivered now. And so when we look at the wealth management industry, the recurring theme has been that the industry no longer is dictating the pace at which information is released or how it's released. You have players outside. So, obviously the most popular ones are Amazon, Google, Netflix, where they anticipate your needs. And then they're like, hey, I think this is what you're going to like. I think this is what you're going to want. Hey, it looks like you're running out of this. Yeah. And so, we were speaking about the survey and about what advisors are thinking. And it's all along these lines of anticipating client needs. And it falls in really well with Gen AI.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was the number 2 theme that we pulled out of the surveys, which is this idea, as you said, of active data. And what does that mean? It's not just using data to reduce the operating costs in smart operations, although that's part of it. It's using data and analytics about the customer to provide value at the right point in time. And I think AI will be an important part of that. I don't think we've really seen how AI can be used in the wealth management industry to manage that yet. But we're definitely, as you say, we see it in Amazon, we see it in Netflix and others. We see it in our Spotify accounts or Apple Music as well, right? Our preferences are tracked, and we're given, we're presented with ideas and options. It does lead to some concern around bias. Mm-hmm. So there's certainly, again, the responsible use of AI has to be part of the way we think about using the tool set. So, but for sure, active data is the core of that. Having the ability to analyze customer behavior is at the core of how you make those decisions. So.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. And also, it greatly attributes to that client experience again, because now you're giving the client things that are meaningful to them at a certain particular point in their life. Yeah. Like I had Dan Richards on the last episode, and he spoke about out of pattern behaviors and using AI for that. So if you have a client that's, let's say, checking in their portal, before it was maybe once a month and now it's on a daily basis, there might be cause for concern there. And that's perhaps a trigger that's get pulled to the IA. Yeah, hey, you should go check in on them.
Maybe they're getting ready to move to a different advisor or some other issue that's happening in their lives. Yeah. No, for sure. I think that kind of behavioral information is highly valuable. Or, I think there's lots of examples of pieces of data that could be tracked and provide advisors some insight into what's happening with their clients. And as I said, I don't think the wealth management industry has done a good job yet of using that data in an appropriate way. And it's certainly becoming part of what is top of mind for advisors.
Yeah. Well, there was a recent survey released from Datos recently that essentially they did survey the wealth management landscape in Canada, mm-hmm. and they found that more than half are investing quite heavily within AI because they're seeing it as the future, because it's just not sustainable again for them to ignore this and say, we're going to sit out. Especially if we look at some of the bigger firms, they do see the use for it when it comes to being more effective, cutting costs, and obviously providing a better level of service for their clients.